Hi, everybody. This is Silvio Canto in Dallas, Texas on Sunday, May the 25th. And welcome to our commentary. Well, Memorial Day weekend, traveling a little bit, spending some time with family. And of course, thinking about Memorial Day itself and what it means and what it should mean to all of us this time of the year. Um, I have a post over at the American Thinker today, and I want to talk a little bit about it. But Memorial Day, of course, is one of those. Sometimes I don't even think it's a holiday because it's a very special day, really. And I hope we never forget what the holiday or the day is all about. And I had a very neat experience a few years ago, many years ago, actually. I was in Mexico City, and some Mexican friends didn't know what the holiday meant or what it was. So I had to do a little research myself and go back and remember the history of it. It goes back to the Civil War, Decoration Day, that it was originally called, and then eventually it became Memorial Day after, I think, after the Second War. It was originally or the Second World War. It was originally referred to as, or originally it was on May 30th, and it was always celebrated on May 30th. But I guess sometime in the 70s, I believe, they changed it to the last Monday in May, and that's why, of course, it changes every year. This year it'll be on the 26th of May, but it varies, of course, depending on what the last Monday of May is. But it is a very important day because we do remember, of course, the people who were killed at war and the heroes of war, and so we have to be conscientious of that on a day like this. Now, of course, that doesn't mean you shouldn't have a good time with your family and enjoy yourself and go out to eat. I mean, it doesn't mean that you don't do that. It's just that sometime, of course, during the day or during the celebration, let's just kind of remember why we do this, and we do it, of course, to remember the men and women who were killed during the war. So just keep that in mind. Or during many wars, not just one, but during all the wars and conflicts that the country's been in. So enjoy your day, have a great time, enjoy the burgers, whatever you do. I think the reason why people eat burgers is because this is the big holiday of the summer, the first holiday of the summer. So that's probably why they do that. So enjoy your day. Don't feel bad about doing any of that, but of course, do keep in mind why we have this day. It's a very important day in the history of the country and in the calendar of the country. Now, I do have a post over at the American Thinker today talking about the state of the Democrat Party. You all remember the name of Rui Teixeira. Rui Teixeira was a man who, like 20 years ago, around the time of President Obama, or around the time that President Obama was elected, Rui Teixeira, who is a professor, I believe, here in Texas, wrote a book or an article that became a book, and he was talking about the emerging majority of the Democrat Party, that Hispanics in particular were going to make the Democrat Party a emerging majority, that they were going to make the Democrat Party basically the majority party for some time being. He has now pulled back on that, and he's writing the exact opposite now, that the Democrat Party will not be a majority. And today he wrote an article basically going through, and I talk about this in my post. He wrote an article about how the Democrats are losing many of those groups that were once considered part of that emerging majority, primarily Hispanics, and why they're losing them. And there's a lot of different reasons. A lot of them are cultural reasons, economic reasons, but cultural reasons. Hispanics, even though they may be Democrat, tend to be more conservative in their family values and issues like, for example, transgenders and same-sex marriage and men competing against women. Issues like that just don't play in the Hispanic community. They just simply don't play. And then you have, on the other hand, some of the other issues that are economic, such as, for example, the climate change and stuff like that. Everybody wants clean air and all of that, but you don't want to destroy your industry in the process of doing it. So they've lost those segments, and now they're having a hard time putting it all together, as Rui Teixeira says in the article that the Democrats were hoping in this last election that they could put the band back together, as they like to say, but they didn't. They didn't put the band back together. In fact, they lost a lot of members and they lost a lot of support. So it's an interesting article, and it really raises the question: are they ready to be a party that will once again compete in national elections? Now, a lot of that has to do with President Trump, meaning the more successful President Trump is, or in his term, obviously the more difficult it will be for the Democrats. If Trump is not successful and there are still lots of problems, let's say in November 2026, then the Democrats will probably make a comeback, at least in the midterm elections. But in general, the party has an image problem, a branding problem, and it's not going to go away by going on television and calling Trump a dictator. That's not going to fix your problem. They're going to have somehow. It's like when a brand doesn't work anymore, or the image of a brand, automobile, whatever it is, has been damaged, and they have to change it. They have to change the brand. They have to change the commercials, whatever they have to do to get people to look at the brand differently. And that's the challenge of the Democrat Party right now. They need to do something, and so far they're not doing it, because the people in the left, the Alejandro Ocasio-Cortez, Jasmine Crockett here in Texas, the people who are speaking from the left are the ones, honestly, who are getting the face time. They're the ones who are on TV. They're the ones getting the commercial time. They're the ones talking about the Democrat Party. And the more they talk about it, the more damage I think it does to the brand. Now, there's a very interesting article that came out today, and I think I'm going to be posting about it in a couple of days, by Byron York. Byron York is a very good writer and political analyst. And he's asking the question, why are President Trump's ratings going up? And if you look at the polling data, his ratings they're going up slowly. If nothing else, they're not going down anymore. So in a sense, he has started to come back. Some of that, I suppose, is perhaps all of these Biden scandals, that we've heard about have something to do with it. But one of the points that he makes in the article, which I really believe, is that the Democrats do not understand how to talk about Trump. And they think that by simply calling him Hitler or a dictator, or by being hysterical about everything, that's going to win him points. And in reality, it's not. It's having the exact opposite effect. People are simply tuning it out, because it's always the same criticism. It's always the same hysterical reaction to everything that Trump does. And as a consequence, people get bored with that. They just say it's the same thing. You haven't changed your image. You haven't changed your message. And I think that has a lot to do with why I think that there isn't right now a Democrat alternative. And that's what the problem is. There's Trump, and Trump is governing, and you might like or dislike some of the things he's doing, but at least he's governing. Whereas the Democrats are just screaming. They're just name calling. They don't really have anything tangible to propose other than Trump is terrible and Trump is this. And after a while, that simply isn't working for them. So very interesting article by Byron York. You should check it out, because I think it gets to the core of the problems that the Democrats have. They have a brand problem, an image problem, and they haven't figured it out. That's all I can say. They have not figured it out. It takes a while sometimes for those things to happen, whether it's a business or a political party. It takes a while for people in the party or in the business itself to realize what the problem is and what changes they have to make. Well, thank you for your time today. I hope everybody has a great Memorial Day weekend and holiday. And we'll get together next week, as we like to do. But enjoy your day. Always remember why we have a Memorial Day. And enjoy your family. Enjoy your family. Hopefully you get to see your family this weekend, because that's what it's all about. Thank you so much, and happy Memorial Day to everybody. See you later.